directly via email or telephone, and I will respond quickly. So without further ado, I commence the session. IMD Business School is a very small school, although our reputation is fairly big. We are based in Lausanne, Switzerland, just across Avion on Lake Geneva, and approximately 64 kilometers from Geneva, where the nearest international airport is. So Lausanne is a small, picturesque, and international city, also known as the Olympic capital and home of IMD. IMD was founded approximately 7 decades ago uh, through the activities of two international companies. One of them was Nestle, and the second institution was Alcan, now part of Rio Tinto. So these two institutions decided to found their own executive development centers where they would basically exchange ideas amongst executives. They would invite Harvard professors and other thought leaders to recap on what's happening in the global economy, but also what's happening in their respective industries. So over the years, the two schools realized that they're more or less doing the same activities, driving executive development and leadership. And IMD was born out of this merger between the school started by Nestle and Alcan. So since 1990, approximately 3 decades now, IMD is known as the International Institute for Management Development with a sole focus on executive education or executive leadership development. As such, we managed to forge a very strong reputation in the field of executive development, which is significantly and highly recognized by major international executive education rankings, amongst which perhaps one of the most important one is the Financial Times Executive Education Rankings, where we rank number one in open enrollment programs and third in customized programs. So the sound is not great. Let's see if this would improve it. Is it better, David? Let's test it again. Yes, it is better. It's perhaps my microphone needs to be closer. I will just adjust it like so. Great. Thank you so much. So going back to the rankings, the various rankings which highlight the strengths of the institution really draw on IMD's focus on developing global leaders, and also our focus is mostly on developing cases because we use the case method in all of our programs. First of all, our programs are divided into customized programs, which account for approximately 50% of IMD's revenues, and open enrollment programs, part of which actually is the executive MBA program. So in fact, when the Financial Times ranks executive education, module one of the executive MBA, which is Foundations for Business Leadership, is audited, and specifically aims achieved is highlighted as one of our biggest strengths amongst developing thought leadership in general, as highlights of these rankings. I will not go into all of these elements which contribute to our big reputation, although I would like to highlight the alumni network, which is one of the amongst the largest and widely spread international alumni network worldwide, counting more than 100,000 alumni, organized in no fewer than 45 alumni clubs, which sustain the learning and development of our executives post having attended an IMD executive development program. Another interesting feature of our school is that in fact, we have several professors, 5 professors, who are amongst the most read, the most in-demand authors of case studies. In fact, the number 2 professor in the world is Kamran Kashani, a professor of marketing, who is second on that list, with case studies which number in the over 150,000 worldwide, touching executives in the millions, because not only business education institutions utilize the case method, but other institutions involved in developing leaders also use the case method. So over the last 15 years, IMD has managed to remain in top 5. Only 2 schools have managed to achieve this feat. The executive MBA, on the other hand, is a different matter altogether, and there are a number of different rankings. I will not spend too much time on that, except um, taking the time to highlight the career development number one position, which was judged by the Economist 2018 Executive MBA rankings, meaning career progression, salary progression, as well as the value of the network, whilst the Financial Times 2019 ranking singled out several criteria where we ranked extremely highly, in fact, in top five, international faculty, the diversity of our student body, as well as the level of experience which each EMBA participant brings to the program. Now, most schools have PhD professors teaching on their executive programs, but at IMD, 100% of our faculty are with PhD degrees as well as significant industry experience. One interesting aspect of this ranking specifically refers to our sustained growth towards the top, or march towards the top, if I may say so. We gained 9 ranks over the last 3 years. The executive MBA focuses on three main areas or spheres of development. And when we ask our participants before they join the program what their most important learning objective is, the vast majority undisputedly say learning more about business and acquiring diverse experiences would be number one on my list. Then they would say we would like to learn more about the world, acquiring more diverse and varied lens, which would be attached to their managerial toolkit to look at different business and leadership challenges. And finally, they would say, well, it would be nice if we manage to also learn about ourselves as leaders, as human beings. An interesting transformation actually takes place over the course of the executive MBA, where we constantly observe this at the end when we've just graduated a class last Saturday, in fact, and everyone without exception highlights or singles out the importance of this transformation, which has to do with transforming as a leader, as a human being, which is the most admired, the most appreciated change through the program. And this is the group of faculty, the group of professors led by Stefan Michel, who is the only Swiss professor at IMD. The rest of the professors' body, in fact, epitomizes the international spirit of the institution. We have many different nationalities without going into detail, with a lot of accumulated senior industry and academic experience, contributing to creating an environment which is highly conducive to exposing you to different ideas, spurring creative thinking, spurring, in fact, two-way communication, but also I wanted to highlight the fact that IMD professors, they do not teach, rather we like to say that they facilitate, they challenge, and they try to stimulate unconventional thinking, be it in relation to solving a specific business problem or in the sphere of personal leadership development and how you show up as a leader. Of course, some of our faculty are members of boards of publicly listed companies. They do work exclusively with executives, with senior teams, and most of our customized interactions or programs we design for organizations worldwide have to do with transformational, building transformational journeys. And as a byproduct, our faculty acquire a lot of insights derived from these high-level interactions with senior leaders, which then they transmit into the classroom of the executive MBA program. When we look at the typical class, the executive MBA class is highly diverse, very experienced class. As you see here, we have 30 industries represented, anywhere from 25 to 30 industries. Participants highly educated. Half of the class has advanced postgraduate degrees. In terms of seniority, over half of the class also is in senior positions, CEO, managing directors, and in general senior managers with approximately 16 years working experience, average age being 40, number 4 in the world in terms of experience overall. The diversity is also highlighted by 25% female participation in each class. We focus on creating a program which is attractive to female leaders. We understand that out there in the industry there isn't a percentage of women which is at parity with male executives, but at the same time, without appearing to promote positive discrimination to attract more women, we facilitate this through the creation of a program which is very flexible, as you'll see later on, which allows for a lot of tailoring the way you structure your learning journey with us. Now, in terms of diversity in nationalities, of course, about 50% of our participants would be European-based, and even if 15 to 20 would be Swiss-based, even this Swiss contingent of executive MBAs would be very diverse. Some of them would be American executives or Indian executives or Nigerian executives operating in Europe or in Switzerland. And by extension, we have a very diverse and very diverse and interesting group of executives who bring elements of ethnicity, culture, and nationality into the mix, create a catering for a very conducive and very interesting learning experience. We have a program for managers who are younger and do not necessarily have 10 years of experience, and that program is called Building on Talent. I will not focus on this program now because I assume that most of you have at least 10 years of experience. We can discuss this offline if it happens to be you out there. With fewer than 10 years, we can discuss later how this program may lead you to the executive MBA longer term. Now, the standard journey leading you into the executive MBA program consists of step 1, step 2, and step 3. Step 1 being 20 intensive days at IMD via a program called Foundations for Business Leadership. As the name suggests, it's a program which focuses on building skills and capabilities. It's a case-based methodology we use here throughout the actual leadership journey of the executive MBA. There is an element of individual leadership coaching, an element of a strong element of group work. However, the first step of the program already assumes that you are going to bring a significant leadership and executive managerial experience so that we do not explicitly focus on leadership development. Now, step 2 of the program is known as Advanced Management Concepts. And this is an interesting part of the program because we did away with the requirement for GMAT. So we no longer require GMAT for the last 7 or 8 years now, considering that the test is a good test, however, not relevant to working executives who are faced with real world, real life business challenges and leadership challenges, which standardize English native speaker academic test does not tend to predict success in an executive MBA of this caliber. Therefore, we introduced this advanced management concepts, which gives you the opportunity to actually tackle real business challenges. At the end of the module, you pass 4 proprietary exams, and then you're ready to enter the 1-year-long mastery stage. The mastery stage itself is a 6-module journey consisting of 3 core modules. Here we signify the designate the core modules by the Swiss flag. So core module 1, there is core module 2 here, and core module 3. In between, we've incorporated 3 discovery expeditions. There is 1 discovery expedition which is a mainstay, always to the Silicon Valley. Second discovery expedition it can be in China or Brazil or another destination, while the third discovery expedition is a choice between 2 available, and these are cohort dependent. So depending on which one of the 3 available mastery stage cohorts you aim to join, you would have a slightly different selection of discovery expeditions to attend. So the key numbers here to retain tonight are 9 weeks out of the office. This is the total time it'll take you to complete the executive MBA. So the 3 weeks here are 20 days at IMD in Lausanne, offered 5 times a year. Then this module is followed by a fully online distance learning module, Advanced Management Concepts. And then you have 6 weeks of face-to-face, either Discovery Expedition or core module at IMD. So the overall length of the program is approximately average 21 months, although this period can be as long as 36 months or longer, and the shortest period of time is 15 months. So I hope the pace is fine. I do not rush my presentation too much. I'm very mindful that we need to leave some time for questions at the end. But if you do have a question, please feel free to type it in. Now, Foundations for Business Leadership, I will walk you through each step of the program in a rapid manner. Foundations for Business Leadership, as I said, is 20 intensive days at IMD. It's purely skills and capabilities building program, which is equipping you with skills, enabling a fast reaction, a rapid reaction in the way you would respond, your organization would respond to rapidly changing global environment, to rapidly shifting needs of your customers. You look at business model innovation, you look at industry analysis, you look at marketing operations, you look at strategy. So all of these are actually achieved through a case method again. We use real companies cases and we take the global organizational lens to look at these issues. We mix you in small working teams. In each week of the program, you will be a member of a different working group. By the end of the program, you would have met each executive peer member of the Foundations for Business Leadership, because on each day of the program, you'll be working with a different person, whilst your working group, working team would remain the same for 1 week. Now, towards the end of the program, you take part in a couple of simulations and integrative exercises, which aim to consolidate your general management toolkit into a fully operational paradigm, which then you'll be able to apply back at work. And I wanted to highlight that the Foundations for Business Leadership is a fully independent open enrollment program at IMD. And in each class consisting of about 60 to 65 participants, about 30 participants would be also attending the Executive MBA, whilst the rest of the group would decide later on whether they would like to pursue a diploma program for executive development by joining the second module or continue towards the Executive MBA. So I see there is a question here. Do you do each module with the same class, or is each module a different group? So it's the latter. Each module is the different group for the first 2 steps. So just winding back. So in step 1, we have 5 groups per year, 5 groups here and 4 groups here. So in each group, we have a proportion of the group which would advance towards the Executive MBA Mastery stage. So if we have approximately 200 participants or 250 participants, out of these 200 participants taking the Foundations for Business Leadership, we would have about 120 overall advancing to one Executive MBA cohort or mastery stage. I hope this helps. So the second module, the second step of the program, as I mentioned, is called Advanced Management Concepts. These are the 4 cornerstones of business education, as designed and conceived by each faculty responsible for these 4 streams. So we have a finance stream, a marketing, strategic thinking, decision analysis, and critical thinking. They're all led by experienced faculty who also teach in the or facilitate in the mastery stage of the program. So we have a selection of cases. We give you 4 books from which you're going to be asked to read certain chapters. Some of the books are read in entirety. We're going to have live online sessions, the so-called faculty office hours, where you'll be able to ask questions related to the material, related to any ongoing discussions on the fully operational online portal, which would encourage a lot of participation in the sense of posting on different topics, but also commenting and giving feedback to peer fellow participants. So at the end of the first 4 weeks, you would have covered the main topics, which are in fact topics related to ideas, to paradigms, to frameworks we introduced in the first step of the program, the foundations for business leadership, and yet they are at a high level where we now ask you to be more efficient and more pragmatic in the way you apply these to your specific working environments. So week 5, in fact, would serve you as the revision week, where you would start revising all of the materials, the lectures, textbooks, chapters, cases, and assignments from the first 4 weeks. And we also give you 4 real companies cases. By the end of that week, you would expect to receive 4 questions. So on a Friday morning, we give you the 4 questions relating to each of these streams and the cases we would have given you in advance. And by the following Monday, you would have to write 3 written exams, one in finance, one in decision analysis and critical thinking, and the third one is in marketing, whilst the strategic thinking exam is going to be a 15-minute discussion over Skype. So you have to pass all of these exams. If you happen to fail one, which happens from time to time, the respective faculty would ask you to produce some remedial work, and upon the successful completion of that work, you then continue towards the mastery stage. If someone fails 2 exams, that means that this person hasn't spent enough time to appropriate, to acquire the knowledge necessary to enter the mastery stage, and for that reason, we ask participants in such circumstances to repeat the module, although we do not charge for the second time. So the module is repeatable, free of charge. So upon completing the module successfully, then participants continue towards the master stage. Now, one important element about this 5-week journey is that you need to dedicate approximately 20 hours per week in order to stay up to speed, with readings, with participation, to internalize the knowledge, because there is going to be a lot of information which you need to absorb, to integrate into your knowledge base. The mastery stage itself is an exciting 6-step journey, and these 6 steps are equally spaced throughout the year. So you can easily plan. We've already published the calendar until end of 2021. And as you will see later on, the dates are basically taken into consideration major holidays worldwide, so we try to be as fair as possible to our global constituent body of potential participants. So as you see here, week 1 is always core module 1, where you begin your formal mastery stage of the program. We touch on topics related to personal leadership, to strategy, to operations management, to industry analysis, but we now consolidate the takeaways, the key learning takeaways from module 1 and module 2. And in the mastery stage of the program, we not only integrate those, but we integrate all of these key learning points based on a very specific and structured foundation, which serves you as a platform to apply in your respective organization. For that reason, we've incorporated 5 major company assignments, along with a case writing assignment, along with personal leadership development journey, which is an individual assignment. And for each of the 3 discovery expeditions you'll be undertaking as part of the mastery stage, you'll also be a member of a working discovery expedition power team. You would be addressing specific to each discovery expedition challenges, and I will go into more detail later on. So the important takeaway here is that you have 6 modules. Each of these modules lasts for 1 week. So 6 weeks over a period of 1 year. So there's a close look at the available core modules. As you see here, there is the first available core module is March 2020 to April 2021, and this happens to be a fully booked subscribed class. The next available one for the moment, which is at about 80% capacity, is the August to September 2021, and the final module, core module, is November 20th, 2020 to December 2021. As you see here, I alluded earlier that each module, each mastery stage, in fact, has a slightly different selection of discovery expeditions. In March, we go to China, we go to Silicon Valley, and then there is the choice between going to Kenya or Peru. In the August to September core mastery stage, we have Silicon Valley, India, Israel, or Peru, and then the final offering for next year would be Brazil, Silicon Valley, Israel, or Kenya. Now, the discovery expeditions are extremely interesting experiences because they're not only seen as expeditions where we inquire about each of these countries' cultures and ethnic signatures. Rather, we like to say that these are immersion expeditions where we go beyond this industrial tourism type of experience that some participants would assume that we do. In fact, for each of the discovery expeditions that we undertake, we have a very clear and specific agenda and learning objective to be attained by the end of the discovery expedition. I will take Silicon Valley, for example, which is the mainstay for each of the mastery stages. Even before we actually embark on the Silicon Valley Discovery Expedition, we start by preparing the ground, selecting, in fact, being more precise, we launch a Swiss-wide startup competition, which is chaired and judged by senior faculty who are experts in entrepreneurship and innovation, and we invite most highly successful startups in technology, biotech, fintech, high-tech companies with high probability for success, early stage of development, to apply to enter the IMD startup competition, which has been going for over 20 years now. And we, in October of each year, we select 30 such startups, half of which end up working with the executive MBA participants. And when we actually go to Silicon Valley, amongst other activities such as visiting the tech giants such as Google, IPO, and LinkedIn, and others, Tesla, we also prepare a pitch in front of a panel of venture capitalists, and we pitch local Swiss startups. So you actually have the podium. You are the representatives, the faces of these startups. But before you actually pitch the given allocated company, you need to understand the attributes, the value, and the overall value proposition and the potential to really comprehend what value each of these startups would represent in the eyes of these seasoned venture capitalists, so that you can present the company at its highest, fullest potential. In other parts of the world, of course, when we go to China or Israel or India, we tackle different challenges. In Kenya, for example, we work with the bottom of the pyramid representatives of companies working in an environment which is extremely challenging in the sense that the economy itself is not conducive to creating highly priced, high value products. Instead, an economy which is relying on flower plantation, on agriculture in general, and on products which are seen as highly valuable but not as pricey, is really an important element which our executives tend to acquire and to develop different strategies for devising and designing their products by gaining insights from these expeditions in areas of the world where the economy is not conducive to promoting and selling high value products. And a similar discovery expedition is the Peruvian discovery expeditions, where we work with the Elias Center for Sustainability at IMD, where we help local social entrepreneurs, and we also glean insights as to what these economies are facing in terms of day-to-day challenges, and we also understand how businesses operate in very different and difficult economic conditions, also political conditions. So these discovery expeditions would be highly rewarding as learning experiences. So these are some of the successes we've had with companies we pitched in the Silicon Valley. There is Amongst others, these are some of the companies, and there is MindMaze, a neurotechnology-based company which created products, high-value networking products which bridge the gap between technology and physiology, helping victims of stroke and other serious medical conditions to achieve faster and more optimal recovery. So MindMaze is one of our successes, which happens to be a unicorn, first a unicorn. As you see here, we also have a involvement in Nobel Prize win in chemistry in 2019. This gentleman here, Stanley Whittingham, was a member of the board of High Lithium Power company, a startup which took part in the startup competition and highly successful. And this is the company which basically is responsible for all of our mobile devices batteries. And we have other success stories, of course. And of course, not all of the companies do achieve the status of unicorns. But the startup competition is an extremely revealing and interesting competition we've integrated in the program. When it comes to how we make the program specifically relevant to both individuals and organizations, we have created a program which includes the 5 major company assignments, and these assignments actually focus on digital and cultural transformation. They also have a focus on customer and marketing assignment, as well as a finance assignment, and all of these 4 assignments feed into a strategic product development or new strategic initiative. So what we actually did later on in the journey of the designing and evolving the program, not only did we keep these assignments very company focused, but we saw that a lot of the participants would be representatives of different spheres of the global economy, different entities. So typically we would have basically a typical CXO type of executive, typical medium to large multinational, where it was fairly straightforward to apply these assignments into a participant's local environment. However, due to the fact that we now have such a mixed participant group, we have participants who are entrepreneurs or involved in startups in early stages of development, or participants working for not-for-profit NGO organizations. We have participants who would be in charge of major government activities, working for different governments, departments of finance, department of defense, for example, or we would have more recently participants who would be in charge of digital transformation. So for that reason, we decided to offer 5 available focus areas. So if you happen to have a specific company or industry-related challenge, you would be able to apply the 5 major assignments along the lines of highly structured assignments, which are then debriefed by knowledgeable faculty and learning experts. So I can provide you with more information on these assignments depending on which type of organization you would be representing. Another interesting aspect of the program is that it includes a career management module, which is aiming to help you achieve your pre-program learning aims and objectives. And we achieve this through integrating specific coaching sessions, workshops, and one-on-one sessions with career strategists. So the idea behind this is that it's an optional module, although nearly 90% of each class tends to avail of this module in order to really optimize the way participants look at their careers and the way each participant advances their own personal agenda, both business and leadership-wise. Now, these are some of the key takeaways or return investment or learning nuggets, if you will, and the outcomes of having attended an executive MBA. So one of the most important aspects is the level of seniority and the strategic attainment of our participants. After graduation, we see that consistently our participants evolve their careers into more strategic and more impactful roles. We have also, of course, the monetary remuneration, which is over 55% increase of salary remuneration. This is based on the 2019 ranking. Interestingly, the EMBA experience is considered to add approximately 5 to 12 years of on-the-job experience. So in other words, it accelerates learning and development through this highly intensive 21-month journey or 9 weeks out of the office. And as I mentioned, Silicon Valley remains one of the highlights of the program in terms of immersive experiences, and not to mention participants forge lifelong lasting friendships and connections with the other participants, not to be underestimated. So these are the next available dates where we offer step one of the program 5 times a year, with the first available session starting in January next year, towards the end of the month. There is a second option in March, April, and August, which then link to your chosen foundations of business leadership would link to one of the 4 available advanced management concepts modules, on the way to joining one of the 2 available mastery stages, or one of the 3 2021 to 2022 available mastery stages. So effectively, a program which offers a lot of flexibility in terms of scheduling. In terms of investment, the program's tuition fee is 105,000 Swiss francs, which is approximately 105 American dollars, 105,000 US dollars. And this fee is valid until May 1st, 2020, after which date the tuition will increase by 10,000 Swiss francs. However, it's important to know that tuition fee is, of course, a relative measure of the value of the program. Some of the top programs can cost up to 200,000 US dollars, and the executive MBA, even with the slight increase in tuition from May next year, remains a very strong value proposition and executive MBA program number 20 in the world. And when you consider also the fact that we provide a lot of modularity, which allows for budgeting purposes to, for example, take step 1 during first half of the year, step 2 would be towards the end of the year, and the mastery stage could be taken in the following calendar year. It's highly flexible in the sense that it's possible to finance it also through personal loans. We have a number of institutions working with us, although it never fails. It's always very important to canvas organizational internal support for your executive MBA initiative, because you'll be creating a lot of value for the organization, in addition to creating highly positive organizational culture through the exposure to different frameworks and paradigms, and leadership experiences which you'll be bringing back to your team, the teams you lead, and also to the leadership of your organization. So to recap, the overall fee is 105,000 Swiss francs, and you would expect approximately 15 to 20,000 additional expenses linked to discovery expedition attendance, also to the accommodation fees at hotels near IMD. Because it's a non-residential program, we tend to use a lot of nearby hotels. We have preferential rates, and recently more and more participants take advantage of platforms such as Airbnb, and they even manage to keep the cost fairly at a fairly reasonable level. These are the admission criteria. As I mentioned, no GMAT, no ideal profile. We focus on professional achievement and work experience. 10 years is the minimum. Company support is important, is essential, because you need to be able to apply. This is a highly applied practical program, so you would have to apply everything that you learn back into your organization, be it a small startup or NGO or a government agency. You would need to have access to information relating to finance, to culture, to customers, and then you would need to have a platform where you would apply your newly designed, newly crafted strategy. So English is the language of instruction. And for native English speakers, there is a requirement for a second language certificate at level B1. If it happens to be your case, I will send you some additional information on how to align your current achievements in a second language. So this nears the end of my presentation. I opened the floor to questions. I took just about over 40 minutes. I hope this was clear and it answered most of your questions, but please feel free to ask the questions which I hope to be able to answer. Thank you so much for being part of this presentation.